Hi. Hi, my name is Rico Anderson, and I am one of the AAC SLPs for the North Vancouver School District. So today's video is about backing up and sharing files on TouchChat. So as you may be aware, TouchChat is a app used for communication, for augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC. When you say TouchChat, it's actually the name of the app. Within TouchChat, there's a whole bunch of different options and different vocabulary settings and all that kind of stuff. So saying TouchChat is just kind of like saying Microsoft Word. So you may have a student that's using TouchChat with WordPower 60 Basic, for example. And that is the name of the vocabulary set that we used to set up their customized vocabulary. It's good practice for us to be backing up that vocabulary as we make updates. So if you're adding a word here or there, I wouldn't be too worried about making sure that it's updated. But if you add a bunch of new pages and a whole bunch of vocabulary, you want to make sure that if something happens to that iPad, that vocabulary is stored in a safe place. In best practice, what we want to make sure is that it's saved somewhere to the cloud. So I have two iPads here. So the student's main vocabulary is here, for example. If I back it up to here, I mean, technically that's a backup. That's better than nothing. But if something also happens to this iPad, then the vocabulary is nowhere to be found. In past sort of generations of AAC implementation, what we would do is back up to an EA or a principal or an LST's account, and then they change schools or they retire, and then all of a sudden you don't have access to the vocabulary or some important document anymore. So what the process that we're going to talk about today is best practice as of today. But again, this may change over the years. It's 2021 right now, and this is kind of what we're doing, and this is the best practice. But stay tuned, and we may change this as the years go on. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this iPad is the primary, and what we're trying to do is get the vocabulary from this iPad over to this one, okay? And in the process, we're also going to make sure that we save it to the cloud. So I'm going to show you sort of the I guess like the long way, making sure that we use the cloud so that we have access to that backup at a later date. But I'm also going to show you kind of a faster method. If you, for example, are a school speech pathologist and you're supporting a student using TouchChat and you want to make sure that their customized vocabulary is on your iPad as well, then you can just sort of quickly airdrop it over. And so I'll show you how to do that as well. So you're going to need a couple things for this video. On the primary iPad, you of course have TouchChat already on here. You're also going to want to make sure that you have OneDrive on here and that you have the student's login information. And so that usually takes the shape of a student ID number. And then the password is usually somewhat like the birth date, usually with an S or a $sign or somewhere in there. We're also going to want to make sure that on this iPad, the secondary one, we want to make sure that TouchChat and OneDrive are also downloaded here. If you don't know how to do that, then please contact your friendly neighborhood IT person or IT capable person, and they can help you out with that. Or, you know, what I always do as a first step when I can't figure out something to do with technology is I actually ask Google. So if you don't know how to download an app, you can just go on to Google and say how to download an app onto my iPad, and it will actually give you some really nice steps. If you're somebody that likes videos, you can often find videos there as well. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this is a talker. So when I press the home button, because I'm in guided access, it's going to go straight into TouchChat. So what I'm going to do is leave guided access first. So in order to do that, I triple click this. If you want more information about guided access, just Google it. So I'm going to I can't triple click it facing that way. 1 sec. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I triple clicked it and it'll ask me for my password. There we go. It may give you this interface. It may just turn off, but mine gave me the interface. So I'm going to hit end. So we're closing TouchChat. doesn't like my backwards button pressing. Okay, so the next thing I want you to look at is this orange strip here. There's nothing written in that orange strip, which I know means that the editing has been turned off. So we next need to turn the editing on. So in order to do that, we're going to leave TouchChat, and we do that by pressing this home button. And then we will go into the settings, the gear, so the iPad settings. And then what we do is we scroll all the way down on the left here until we get to TouchChat. It's in alphabetical order, and so TouchChat should be near the bottom. And then it says allow editing, and we want to make sure that that is turned on. So it'll go green. And then when we leave the settings, go back into TouchChat, we should find that up in this orange bar, it says menu and vocab. If you're finding that the menu and vocab, those two words aren't showing up, one of the things that you have to do sometimes, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason for this, if you double click this, basically what's going on is, you know how when you have a computer and you have a whole bunch of programs open and you can see all the little buttons along the bottom? iPads basically do the same thing, and we don't always know that. And what we need to do is actually close down TouchChat, not just leave TouchChat, but actually close it down. And when we open it up again, the vocab and menu should appear. So to do that, you double click this. And when I say double click, like physically press it twice, and it'll look like this. And what you do is you just flick this up, and that closes everything. It's actually good practice whenever you're using an iPad to go through periodically and change everything, not change, sorry, close everything that you have open. So I don't know if you're doing that, but that's a good thing to know. And then when I go back into TouchChat, I see that vocab and menu are there. That's great. I forgot to log into OneDrive, so we're going to do that. Oops, yes, we're going to do that now. So we'll get out of TouchChat here. The OneDrive icon looks like a little cloud there. And you're going to see this. It's going to ask you for an email address. Sign in. There we go. It might be hard to see, but it says email or phone. So that is the student's student number. So for me, as an employee of North Van School District, I'm actually putting in my employee ID number. My email address is r.anderson, but when I log into OneDrive, I actually need to use my employee number at sd44.ca. And then I press the blue arrow. And what you should find is that, here I'm gonna just sort of cover my employee number, but it'll take you into this green screen, right, that we're all used to seeing by now. And then you put in your password. Sign in. Okay, so it's just signing in, and I'm going to give it a second. But now that we're signed into OneDrive and TouchChat is all ready to go, we should be ready to upload the vocabulary into OneDrive. So then what I do is I press the home button to get out of OneDrive. We'll go back into TouchChat. Okay, so here comes the fun part. So what you do is you go into vocab, choose new vocab. And then the file that we're going to transfer today is called transfer 2020-0303. Now, it's important to note that I've put the date. Whenever you do any uploading, updating, anything like that, you want to make sure that you change the date so that you know which file is your most current file. Otherwise, they all look very, very similar, and you're going to have to remember what your most recent change was. So make sure, and if you put it in this format, 2020-0303, when it alphabetizes, it'll go in order and the newest will be at the bottom. So as I upload, I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to go into menu. Hopefully I can do this backwards. we're going to go into import export. Is that what it's called? Yeah, import export vocab. There we go. And we're going to use the option called export and share. Okay, and so the vocabulary file we want to transfer is called transfer. And then here is where I would change the date. So today is the 4th. Oops, I accidentally opened my emojis. 04. Okay, so we have 04. We know that that is the most recent. And then what we want to do is actually go into, see how there's some icons for apps in there? Depending on what OS you have, the icons may appear below the AirDrop symbol, but mine appears up here. That's okay. I see OneDrive there. That's what we're going to do. You may also notice that there's Dropbox here. If you wanted to back it up to Dropbox, it would be the same process. But just so you know, Dropbox is not an approved platform for us to be uploading personal information such as TouchChat vocabularies to. If you are going along here and you don't see that OneDrive symbol, oops, hold on. You're going to want to press the 3 dots. I didn't mean to press there. Okay, so see how there's 3 dots there? We're going to push that. And then that'll give you a bunch of different options that you have on your iPad. For example, I could have opened this in Teams, which I don't know why you would do that, but we can also select OneDrive from in here. So we'll go into OneDrive, and then it'll say upload to OneDrive. See here, blue. I'm just trying not to show you all my employee ID number. So we're going to upload to OneDrive. And we'll just give it a second. Literally, that's all the time it takes. And this is on my home Wi-Fi. Okay, so now the vocabulary has gone from my talker into the cloud. Okay, so it's in the cloud. What we want to do is send it from the cloud to this talker. Okay. So what we're going to do is we've logged into the same OneDrive account on this talker. So I'm going to go into OneDrive and find the file. And then select it. And then you're going to notice that, I don't know if you can see in the screen, up in the corner, you'll see those 3 dots again. So we're going to press those 3 dots. And one of the options is open in another app. So we're going to open that or select that. And again, we need to give it a second to download. It doesn't take very long at all. And then remember how before I said that you might, your icons might appear below the AirDrop? That's what that would look like. So then we go into this TouchChat icon. If we don't see TouchChat here, we go into these 3 dots. And in this OS, what I actually have to do is turn on some of them in order for them to appear, but I can also just select TouchChat. Oh, no, sorry. We're gonna hit done. It's really hard to do this backwards, actually, you know? And then what we're gonna do once we hit done is that would have taken us back to this screen. And then so we'll select TouchChat. There we go. And then it'll ask you import file. It's asking us if we want to import a file. We'll say yes. And then this is where you want to make sure that we've named it the right thing. So I usually give it the name, make sure it has the name of the date that it was uploaded, because I may download it and then edit it again now. It may be the 5th by now, right? So, but because it was on the cloud as the 4th, and that's what I'm downloading, I would keep that name on it, because then we know that as of the 4th, both devices were the same. And then we hit save. And now it's appearing on our list. So then we can open that up. And there we go. Now, if this is a talker that's going to be used by the student, what we're going to want to do is go through those, the backwards of the steps that we did at the beginning. So we would turn the editing, allow editing off, and then we're going to turn the guided access on. Now, because I'm going to show you something else, I won't show you how to do that, but just to remind you to turn editing, allow editing off, you need to go into your iPad settings, which are in there. When you turn on guided access, what you do is you triple click that home button. If you have trouble with any part of that sequence, you're going to want to make sure that the OS is updated. And the place that you do that, it depends a little bit which OS you have, but usually if you go into the settings and see here, it says general on this OS. Can you see that? So general, right? And then at the top of that, it says software update. And there's no red number there. So it doesn't look like I have a software update. But if I go in there, just give it a sec. It's checking for an update, but that's where you would upload that. You want to also make sure that you update TouchChat, which you do in your App Store. If that's still not working, it could be that your iPad is just a little bit too old for that. Now, I'm going to show you another process that's way easier, but it's not really a backup. So again, we're going to transfer the file from this iPad over to that one. We have turned guided access off. We have turned allow editing on. Right? So it's actually a very similar process. We're going to go into menu. We're going to, oh, sorry, we need to go into vocab first. Vocab, choose new vocab. And then we go into menu, sorry about that. And then we're going to go into import, export vocab. Export and share. Okay, transfer. That's the vocabulary that we want. Okay, name looks good. It's going to take a sec. And then what we're going to do is we're going to AirDrop it. In order for us to use AirDrop, both of the iPads need to have that feature. They need to, in order to open that file, you'll need to have TouchChat on both of the iPads. If I transfer a TouchChat file to the blue iPad and I don't have TouchChat on it, it's not going to open. You also have to make sure that this iPad is awake. So the receiving iPad is awake. Otherwise, this won't work. You'll also need to make sure that AirDrop is turned on both iPads. I forgot to mention that. So if you don't know how to turn on AirDrop, just Google it. Go on Google, how to turn on AirDrop on my iPad, and it'll give you instructions on how to do that. But once that's all done, all you do is you select AirDrop. And then it's asking me, is this the iPad that you want? Oh, there's other people in the building with AirDrop on. So then, yes, that iPad mini is the one I want. And then we'll get a little alert on this iPad that says, accept file. Oh, come on. But anyways, it says AirDrop. I don't know if you guys can see that. AirDrop, oh, there we go. AirDrop, accept file. And we want to accept that file. And then it asks us again if we want to import the file. Yes. And then we go through those steps again. So again, it's the 4th. So we want to make sure it's called 04, save. Oh, sorry, the name already exists. Well, now I messed that up, but normally that wouldn't work, but I did something where I named 2 things the same thing and it did not like that. But that second way is the easier way to do it, but because we've bypassed the cloud, it's not really backed up. So we have the same vocabulary on 2 devices, but it's not backed up. So make sure you back it up. Another tip, if, for example, this iPad's quite a bit older, this iPad is brand new. So if you're having problems airdropping from the old iPad, sorry, not airdropping. If you're having problems uploading to OneDrive from the old iPad, one thing that I've done is transferred it from the old iPad to the new iPad and then used OneDrive on the new iPad. Sometimes it's because OneDrive is a little bit too old. It's not a perfect process, but it's kind of the only process that we have right now. If this doesn't work for you, please get in touch with us and we can try to figure out something else for you. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if this works for you or not, and whether or not this video was helpful. We will hopefully be making more of these. Thanks a lot.